Do you ever have someone come to you with a fly and it's just greasy? It's just like, man, this is either going to be really good or really bad. This is a Sowbug with just a freaking greasy top all over the top of it. You're going to have to check it out to see what I'm talking about.
Dude, that's a big brown.
Okay, this is a Sowbug that I started playing with after our good buddy Austin Hackey was in. I'll give old Austin a shout out. We were blending up some dubbings. We're not going to use that one, but I started messing with a new technique that day. So I'm going to show you, it's just a super simple Sowbug. I'm going to actually use this dubbing. It's called Pepper Box, and it's actually a dry fly dubbing. I just like it because it has a lot of structure to it. There's a lot of, like, it doesn't compress down easily. And, you know, I used to tie Sowbugs out of deer hair. Sometimes having them float up off your rig can be really killer. So, anyway, we're going to use this. And the key to this one is the wing case or the shell back. It's a cool method. All right, so I'm going to start out. I'm using nano silk. You don't see me use nano silk very much, but in this fly, we're going to be creating a pretty gnarly dubbing loop that we're going to pick out. So we want it to be super durable and not break when we hit it with our brush. All right, so just a little bit. I'm using orange. As you can see, the color doesn't really show up very much. So you could really use whatever color nano silk you have. This is the 30 denier. This is the 30 denier flavor. So let's just get a dubbing loop built. So I'm going to close off my loop. This is really slick stuff, so sometimes you gotta put a bead of super glue down. Once I close my, or trap my loop, I'm gonna close it off by going behind the loop. And now we're ready to add material to our dubbing loop. So there we go, nice and open. I'm using this one right now. It's the CNF top twister. The Sman one works great too, or whatever dubbing twister you like. I cut the corner off the bag of this dubbing just so that when I pull it out, I can get just, you know, a little tiny bit, and they're mostly facing the same direction. I'll just put that in, keep this dubbing loop nice and sparse. So I'll just do a few pinches. About like that. So you can see through that dubbing loop right now. There's really not a lot of it in there. So with it like that, I'll just spin this up. You really want to spin it up tight because nano silk is pretty slick and it's very strong too. So once you get done spinning, if you just give it a little pull, you can see that it adds a little bit more twist to it. Once we're here, we're going to brush this out just a little bit before we go up the body, and we're ready. All right, I'll just use the rotary technique on this. You're just going to kind of wrap the loop in touching turns all the way to the head. And once I get up here, before I tie it off, I like to come up and maybe preen some of the fibers back. With that slick thread, my dubbing twister just came right off of there. So good thing I had hold of it and had good tension. So we'll tie off the loop, and then tie off our nano silk. When you cut nano silk, not a lot of scissors are going to cut it like that, you know, just as it's hanging. So put a little bit of tension on it, and then just bring your scissors into it. It's easier to do when you still have a tool attached so it can hang down. All right, so that's our fly so far. I'm just going to throw a quick whip finish in that to get it out of the way. Now we should be good. I'm just going to trim that off now, and we're going to brush this. Now the fly is going to take shape. So that's all we're going to tie in on the fly. And yes, it does look terrible. We're going to get our Velcro, whatever brush you like, and we're going to brush it all out just like this. We're going to try to just brush it on both sides, come up from underneath as well, and brush all the fibers out on each side. And then once you're kind of as good as it's going to get with your comb or your brush, just grab your fingers and just pull on those. All right, and you might find a few of them that need to be parted to the other side. But anyway, you could sit here and mess with it. So at the end of the day, it's going to look like that. Okay? So once we have it like that, I'm just going to make a cut down each side. Sowbugs are pretty thin, so you don't need a lot of fiber. So as you can see, I've trimmed that about that thick. And then I'm going to get rid of any super long fibers, and then I'm going to give him a haircut right along the back. This is another reason why that nano silk is important, because you can really suck that dubbing loop tight to the hook, and you're not going to catch it with your scissors. All right, so we'll pull all this stuff down. Make a little cut across the bottom. And then to finish it off, you notice we didn't tie anything to pull over the back, no wire. So I'm just going to take a little Sharpie. You can use red, you can use maroon, orange, and I'm just going to draw a little line. So it darkens it up a little bit. And then I really like the Solares medium viscosity for this one. So I'm just going to take my tip. This is a loon tip, actually. It's nice and precise. And I'm just going to draw a line down the back and then maybe make a little bit of a bulb. Turn my vise upside down. It looks like we got a little fiber in there. That's all right, because we can get it out of there. I was watching a dude on Instagram. He's a guy from Louisiana. And while he's cooking outside, he calls all the flies haters. And so when we have these little hangers out like that, they're just haters. You know, haters, get out of there. So he's like, get out of there, hater. I thought it was funny. Anyway, go look at it. It's Cooking with Cajun. Look at his cornbread recipe. It's awesome. Anyway, there's our fly. So as you can see, it turned into like just a ball of nothing to a pretty clean little Sowbug. And you know, this dubbing comes in a whole bunch of different flavors. They also have one called Ultra Nymph Dub that does a really good job with this kind of stuff. Anyway, we've been having fun with this one, tied in a bunch of different colors.